It started with the Young People's Theatre in the Portobello Road in 1992, and I thought I wanted to be a playwright, but I had no idea how to go about it. And I wrote to them, and they said, send us some stuff. And I sent them some stuff and joined the Young People's Theatre, which was just, at that stage, a little room in a basement in the Portobello Road. They would take us on trips to the court to see shows, and they would supply us with great writers to teach us, like Hanif Qureshi and April DeAngelis, and just take us very seriously, for free. We didn't have to pay anything, we didn't have to do anything, we just had to turn up and work on our writing. So to me that was a kind of minor miracle. And within a very short time I'd written a full-length play, which I sent here, and Stephen Daldry had just taken over and rang me up at work and said, do you want to get into bed with the Royal Court? and I said no, because I'd been around a lot of theatres. I'm sure I've told you this story. Had cups of tea and they'd not commissioned anything. And so I said to Stephen, no, I'm busy, I'm working. I'm not going to come in. And he said, well, we'd love to have a cup of tea with you. And I said, I don't do tea. And he said, I said, unless it's really serious. And he said, well, how can I put this? We can't get into bed unless we've had the foreplay. So I went in, and that day they commissioned the play and quit my job the next day and never worked again. Yeah, around about that time, Stephen did The Kitchen, which it's still one of my favourite plays of all time. And his production was extraordinary.
That reopened the reef after the reef?
Yeah. And there was a large cast, because you had to have all these waitresses and kitchen staff, and some of my friends were in the cast, and I had done my fair share of working in kitchens, so it was my kind of play. Not many people write about kitchens, so I felt like this is a play for me. It was a play about internationalism, and I had a very peripatetic upbringing, and very few people write about that. They write a play about people from all over the place. It's more common now, but this was the very early 90s, the end of the 80s. Plays were more often than not about English socialism, or at the Royal Court, or they were plays about Edwardian dandies and the upper classes. And this was a play about kitchen full of foreigners. So I loved it, and I loved the production. The production was immaculate. It was stylized, but it was super real. I think myself and all my contemporaries that saw it, we felt in a way it was kind of our play, and Stephen was our guy, And I've always just loved that play ever since. I love to read it, and I love to see it whenever it's done. And it's a play about work, and I remember at the time thinking, oh, you can write about work, and that's a source of material, it's a source of inspiration. And I think I kind of unconsciously made up my mind then that I would always write about work as a kind of redemptive tool. And the play that I then wrote, which was my first full-length play, Some Voices, was all about a guy who worked in a kitchen who was trying to run his business and look after his schizophrenic brother. It was really about the two of them, and it was the play that sort of launched my writing, and I think a lot of it came from the kitchen. Everybody else was writing Tarantino-esque, Pinteresque stuff, which involved a lot of violence, and my stuff involved a lot of kitchenware. And Arnold Wesker led me to that. The courts remain important because it always has been the engine room of new writing, and really great new writing, new plays are a really unique thing. They're like great albums, or great films, or great novels. They're very special. They're very, very difficult to create. They endure, and almost nobody knows how to do them. And the Royal Court are unique in the world in that they kind of know how to do it. They know how to develop young writers. They know how to take young writers and literally cultivate their talents until they're significant writer, a serious and significant artist. And the Royal Court's always been very unashamed about that. The Royal Court doesn't flirt significantly with bastardizations of the art form. You know, every few years it's about physical theatre, or it's about devised theatre, or it's about content gleaned from films, or multimedia. The court has unswervingly dedicated itself to cultivating the next generation of great new writers. Well, when I first started writing, I thought that was a miraculous thing. As I've grown older, it strikes me as an even more miraculous thing that the court has stuck to that remit unswervingly and unfailingly. It's kind of a very courageous thing to do, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that it still exists, because a great play is a very important thing for the country's kind of cultural mental health, you know, for morale, if nothing else. It's a very important thing, and this country recognises that, and this theatre really recognises that unfailingly and unflinchingly. You know, that's my wish for the court for the next 60 years, that it continues to do that and doesn't get distracted or drained of its volition and its purpose. It doesn't get squeezed out. It doesn't go out of fashion. You know, theatres go in and out of fashion, but that much, much bigger idea that a new play by a great new writer is a very important cultural and artistic event. The Royal Court almost single-handedly has kept that idea alive. So my hope is that it continues to keep that idea alive, you know.